Why some quiet people become wealthy. Have you ever noticed something strange about money? Some people seem to live very ordinary lives. They don't show off expensive cars. They don't constantly post luxury vacations online. They don't talk much about money. They drive practical cars. They wear simple clothes. They live quietly. At first glance, nothing about their lives seems impressive, but then years later, something surprising happens. You suddenly realize those same people now own rental properties. They have strong savings. They control their time. They have the kind of financial freedom many people dream about. Meanwhile, some of the people who once looked more successful, the ones who spent more, showed more, and talked more about money, are now struggling with debt, stress, and financial pressure. So what creates that difference? It's not luck, and it's not necessarily higher income. The real difference lies in how they treat money. Quiet wealth builders understand something many people overlook. Money is rarely built through dramatic moments. It is built through small decisions repeated consistently over many years. They don't build assets to impress anyone. They build assets for something much more valuable: peace of mind, freedom, and control over their future. That's why some people may look completely ordinary on the outside, while silently building a powerful financial foundation behind the scenes. Today on Mentivora Pulse, we're going to explore several habits that quietly build wealth over time. These are not complicated secrets. They are not get-rich-quick strategies. In fact, most of them sound surprisingly simple, but when practiced consistently, they can produce extraordinary results. You don't need to earn six figures to begin. Even with an average income, you can start building financial strength step by step. Before we go deeper, take a moment and ask yourself one question. What do you actually want from your financial life? Is it security, so you no longer worry about bills every month? Is it freedom, so you can choose work you enjoy rather than being forced by money? Or is it stability, so you can support your family and help the people around you? The truth is, those outcomes rarely come from one big decision. They come from hundreds of small decisions made consistently over time. The habits we're about to explore form the foundation of that journey. And the first habit might sound simple, but it separates people who struggle financially from those who slowly become wealthy. In the next chapter, we'll talk about the principle that quietly powers almost every financially successful person. A habit that sounds simple, but changes everything once you truly understand it. Living below your means. Because without this foundation, none of the other strategies will truly work. Down below your means. Let's begin with a simple story. Imagine two people working at the same company. They have the same position, the same responsibilities, and roughly the same salary. Let's say they both earn about $3,000 a month. At first, their lives look almost identical, but their decisions about money are completely different. The first person treats every paycheck like a reward. As soon as the money arrives, he starts thinking about upgrades. A new phone this month, a few new outfits next month, nice restaurants on the weekend, maybe a short trip or a new gadget. None of these purchases seem unreasonable. After all, he works hard. He deserves to enjoy life. But the money disappears quickly. By the end of the month, his bank account is nearly empty. Sometimes he even needs to borrow a little while waiting for the next paycheck. The second person lives differently. Not miserably, not cheaply, just intentionally. Every time his paycheck arrives, he immediately sets aside a portion of the money. That money is no longer available for spending. It goes directly into savings or investments. Then he simply lives on the rest. His lifestyle is comfortable but controlled. 5 years later, something interesting happens. The first person still feels financially stuck. Even though his income may have increased, his expenses have increased as well. His lifestyle expanded with his salary. The second person, however, has something different. A growing savings account, possibly a small investment portfolio, maybe even the down payment for a rental property. Their salaries were the same, but their financial futures became completely different. This is the first principle of quiet wealth building. Live below your means. At first, this idea sounds almost too simple. Most people believe they already follow it. But in reality, very few people truly do, because we live in a world that constantly encourages spending. Open your phone and you see advertisements, new products, new upgrades, new experiences. Social media adds another layer of pressure. You see people showing luxury cars, beautiful vacations, expensive lifestyles, and slowly, without noticing, comparison begins. This is the real trap. Not lack of money, but the pressure to keep up. When a friend buys a new car, you feel tempted to upgrade yours. When a coworker buys the newest phone, your perfectly working phone suddenly feels outdated. Some people even use credit cards or loans just to maintain an image, but they are actually doing something dangerous. They are trading their future for temporary emotions. Living below your means does not mean living poorly. It does not mean refusing joy. It simply means understanding the difference between needs and ego-driven desires. You can still enjoy life. You can still travel, eat good food, and buy things you like. But everything happens within limits you control. Quiet wealth builders ask a different question before spending. Not, can I afford this? But, will this improve my life long term? Here is a truth many people avoid. Wealth is not determined by how much money you make. It is determined by how much money you keep. Someone earning $6,000 a month but spending all of it builds no wealth. Meanwhile, someone earning $3,000 a month but consistently saving and investing can slowly build real financial security. Over time, discipline beats income. If you want to live below your means in a practical way, there are 3 simple steps. First, understand your cash flow. Many people don't actually know where their money goes. They never track their spending. But once you start writing down your expenses, even the small ones, you'll often be surprised. Small purchases add up quickly. Tracking money is like turning on the lights in a dark room. Once you see clearly, you can start making adjustments. Second, create spending boundaries. Decide how much of your income goes to essentials, housing, food, transportation. Then allow a portion for enjoyment. And most importantly, reserve a portion for savings and investments. The exact percentages may vary for each person, but one rule should always remain. Some money must be kept for the future. Third, automate your savings. As soon as your paycheck arrives, automatically move a fixed amount into savings or investments. Don't wait until the end of the month. If you wait, most months there will be nothing left. But when the money moves automatically, your lifestyle naturally adjusts to what remains. Over time, the habit becomes effortless. Many people say they will start saving once they earn more money. But in reality, the opposite is usually true. If you cannot save with a small income, it becomes even harder with a larger one, because spending habits grow alongside income. Quiet wealth builders understand this early. They don't wait to become wealthy to develop discipline. They develop discipline so they can become wealthy. Living below your means does something powerful. It creates financial breathing room. And that breathing room allows you to take the next step, because saving money alone is not enough. To truly build wealth, that money must begin working for you. And that leads us to the next chapter. Pay yourself first and start investing consistently. Pay yourself first and let your money work. Once you begin living below your means, something important happens. You finally create financial space. There is money left over. Not a huge amount at first, but enough to begin building something. And at this point, a new question appears. What should you do with that extra money? Because saving money alone is not enough. Many people manage to save a little, a few $100s each month. But years later, their financial situation hasn't changed much. Why? Because the money simply sits there, waiting. People tell themselves, I'll invest when the market looks better. I'll start when I have more knowledge. I'll do it later when things feel safer. But later often turns into years, and the money never truly begins working. Quiet wealth builders approach this moment very differently. Instead of waiting for the perfect opportunity, they build a simple system. A system based on one powerful rule: pay yourself first. Most people pay everyone else first. They receive their paycheck. Then they start paying bills, rent, groceries, transportation, subscriptions, entertainment. At the end of the month, they check their account, and usually there's little left, sometimes nothing at all. But financially disciplined people reverse this process. The moment income arrives, a portion is immediately set aside before any spending happens. That money goes directly into savings or investments. It becomes untouchable. Then they simply learn to live on the remaining amount. At first, this might sound restrictive, but something interesting happens over time. Your brain adjusts, your spending naturally adapts to the new limit. Life doesn't become harder. You simply become more intentional. Meanwhile, the money you set aside quietly grows, month after month, year after year. But paying yourself first is only the beginning. The next step is even more powerful. Consistent investing. Many people believe investing requires perfect timing. They try to predict markets. They wait for the perfect moment to buy. But even professional investors struggle to predict short-term market movements. And ordinary people often lose money trying to outsmart the market. Quiet wealth builders choose a different strategy. They invest consistently, a fixed amount, every month, no matter what the market is doing. When the market drops, their money buys more shares. When the market rises, their money buys fewer shares. Over time, the average price balances out. This method is often called dollar cost averaging, and it solves one of the biggest problems in investing. Emotions. Fear and greed cause more financial damage than bad investments. When markets rise quickly, people become excited. They rush to buy because they fear missing out. When markets fall, fear takes over. They panic and sell, often at the worst possible time. Consistent investors avoid this cycle entirely. They simply follow their plan. Month after month, think of investing like planting trees. You don't plant everything in one day and expect immediate results. You plant regularly, you water consistently, and you give the tree time to grow. In the beginning, progress is almost invisible. Months pass with little change. But underground, the roots are growing. And once the roots are strong enough, growth accelerates. This is exactly how compound growth works. At first, the numbers increase slowly, so slowly that many people lose patience. They think the system isn't working. But after enough time passes, something changes. Growth begins to accelerate. Your investments begin generating returns, and those returns begin generating more returns, like a snowball rolling downhill. Slow at the beginning, powerful over time. This is why time is the greatest advantage in wealth building. Every year you delay investing is a year compounding cannot work for you. Quiet wealth builders understand this. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They start early, they stay consistent, and they allow time to do the heavy lifting. The beauty of this system is its simplicity. You don't need to watch the market every day. You don't need complex strategies. You don't need to become a financial expert. You simply need three things: a clear plan, a fixed investment amount, and the discipline to stay consistent. While others constantly worry about money, your financial system quietly continues working. Money flows in, investments grow, time multiplies the results, and slowly, almost invisibly, your financial future begins to change. But even with saving and investing in place, there is still one major risk many people overlook: relying on a single source of income. Because no matter how stable a job may seem, depending on only one paycheck can leave you vulnerable. And that leads us to the next chapter: building multiple streams of income. Build multiple streams of income. Once you start saving and investing consistently, your financial life becomes more stable. But there is still one weakness many people overlook, and that weakness is relying on only one source of income. For most people, their entire financial life depends on a single paycheck, a job, a monthly salary. As long as the job continues, everything feels safe. But the modern world changes quickly. Companies restructure. Industries evolve. Technology replaces certain roles. Sometimes it only takes one unexpected event to disrupt a steady income. And when someone relies entirely on one paycheck, that disruption can feel devastating. Quiet wealth builders understand this risk early. They don't build their lives on a single financial stream. Instead, they slowly begin creating multiple sources of income. Not all at once and not all immediately successful, but gradually, quietly, over time. Think of income like water flowing into a reservoir. If only one pipe feeds the reservoir, any problem with that pipe stops the entire flow. But when multiple pipes exist, the system becomes far more resilient. Even if one slows down, the others continue working. This is how financial stability grows. Many people assume creating additional income requires large investments or complicated businesses. But that's rarely how it starts. Most extra income streams begin small, sometimes very small. Freelance work based on existing skills, design, writing, editing, consulting. Sometimes it's selling products online. Other times it's offering services on weekends. Some people rent out unused space. Others begin building digital content that slowly grows over time. At the beginning, the extra income may only be a few $100s per month. It may not seem significant, but the most important thing isn't the size of the income. It's the fact that a second stream now exists. And the moment a second stream appears, something interesting happens. Your mindset begins to change. You no longer feel completely dependent on one employer. You begin to feel more confident, more flexible, more in control of your future. Losing one income source no longer feels like losing everything because other streams continue flowing in the background. This psychological shift alone can be incredibly powerful. Another benefit of creating additional income streams is the development of new skills. When people explore side projects, they naturally learn valuable abilities. Selling, communication, time management, problem solving, creativity. These skills may not produce large income immediately, but over time they become powerful assets. Skills that increase your ability to generate value. And wherever value is created, money eventually follows. Many people hesitate because they believe they lack resources. They say, I don't have money to start. I don't have connections. I don't know where to begin. But most additional income streams don't begin with money. They begin with action. Look at your own life. Ask yourself a few simple questions. What skills do you already have that could help someone else? Do you have free time in the evenings or weekends? Is there something small you own that could create value if used differently? Often the opportunities already exist. We simply haven't looked closely enough. Quiet wealth builders don't wait for perfect conditions. They start small. They accept that the first attempt may not be perfect. Then they improve gradually. Each small income stream becomes another building block. A single block may seem insignificant, but many blocks together create a strong financial foundation. And once that foundation exists, something powerful happens. Every additional dollar earned can now be saved, invested, or reinvested into growing the system further. Income begins feeding investments. Investments begin generating returns, and the entire financial structure becomes stronger. But once extra income begins appearing, a new temptation also appears. The temptation to immediately increase your lifestyle, to spend more, to show success, to upgrade everything. This is where many people accidentally slow their financial progress. And that leads us to the next chapter. The power of reinvesting and protecting your financial privacy. Because sometimes the fastest way to grow wealth is to stay quiet about it. Reinvesting in the power of financial privacy. Once you begin building additional streams of income, something important starts to happen. Money begins flowing in from more than one direction. Your financial life becomes stronger, more flexible, more stable. But at this point, you arrive at a very important crossroads, a decision that determines whether your wealth will grow slowly or accelerate dramatically. That decision is what you do with the extra money you earn. Many people reach this stage and immediately upgrade their lifestyle. They begin spending more. A better car, more expensive vacations, more luxury purchases. And there is nothing wrong with enjoying the rewards of your work. But if your goal is long-term wealth, there is an important phase where you must prioritize growing assets instead of growing lifestyle. This is where the power of reinvesting appears. Reinvesting means something very simple. Instead of withdrawing all your profits to spend, you allow a significant portion of that money to go back into the system that created it. You let the money continue working, over and over again. Imagine planting a fruit tree. In the first year, the tree produces only a few small fruits. If you harvest every single fruit and immediately, the tree survives. But it grows slowly. But if you allow the tree to keep some of its energy, if you care for it patiently, the tree grows stronger, and a few years later, that same tree produces far more fruit than before. Reinvesting works exactly the same way. When you earn profits from investments, side businesses, or additional income streams, you always face two choices. You can spend the money immediately, or you can reinvest it. In the beginning, the difference between these choices may not seem significant, but after 10 or 20 years, the gap becomes enormous. This is where the concept of compound growth becomes powerful. When profits are reinvested, your capital grows. And when capital grows, future profits grow as well. You begin earning returns not only on your original investment, but also on previous returns. Money begins creating more money. At first, the growth appears slow, so slow that many people become impatient. They feel like they are sacrificing too much for something that isn't growing fast enough. But quiet wealth builders understand something important. The early stage of wealth building is always the hardest, because this is when you are building the foundation. And foundations are rarely impressive to look at, but they determine how strong the structure above will become. Reinvesting does not apply only to money. It also applies to time, knowledge, and personal growth. When you earn more income, you can reinvest in improving your skills, learning new abilities, expanding professional relationships, developing knowledge that increases your future earning power. These investments may not generate money immediately, but they create opportunities later. And opportunities are often where the largest financial growth occurs. There is another important habit that many quiet wealth builders follow. They protect their financial privacy. They do not publicly display their wealth. They do not constantly talk about their investments. And they rarely reveal how much money they truly have. Not because they are secretive or fearful, but because they understand the power of silence. When people know you have money, new pressures appear. Social expectations, requests for loans, investment offers that may not be trustworthy, and subtle pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle. This can easily push people into unnecessary spending or poor financial decisions. But when your financial life remains private, you stay free from those pressures. You are not forced to impress anyone. You do not need to prove success through expensive symbols. You can live comfortably and simply while your assets quietly grow in the background. Quiet wealth builders understand something many people forget. Showing wealth often creates short-term attention, but protecting wealth creates long-term freedom. They allow their financial systems to grow quietly. They focus their energy on building assets rather than displaying them. And over time, this discipline produces powerful results. But even after mastering saving, investing, reinvesting, and financial privacy, there is still one final piece that determines long-term success. A factor that allows someone to rebuild wealth even after losing everything. That final piece is knowledge and skill, because money can disappear, assets can fluctuate, but the ability to create value can never truly be taken away. And that is what we will explore in the final chapter. Knowledge, discipline, and the wake-up call. After everything we've talked about, living below your means, investing consistently, building multiple income streams, reinvesting profits, and protecting your financial privacy, there is still one final piece that determines long-term success. A factor that allows someone to rebuild wealth even if they lose everything. That factor is knowledge and skill. Money can disappear, investments can fluctuate, markets can rise and fall, but the ability to create value can never truly be taken away from you. Quiet wealth builders understand this deeply. They do not see themselves simply as employees trading time for money. They see themselves as value creators. The more valuable their skills become, the more opportunities appear. And wherever value is created, income eventually follows. This is why many financially successful people never stop learning. even after they become wealthy. They read books. They study new industries. They develop new abilities. They observe people who are more experienced than themselves because they understand something important. Wealth is rarely sustained by luck. It is sustained by capability. Knowledge in this context does not mean complicated academic theory. It means practical understanding. Understanding how to manage personal finances. Understanding how investments work. Understanding how to recognize risk. Understanding how to communicate, negotiate, and create value. These skills directly influence your ability to earn and grow wealth. One of the biggest mistakes many people make is believing learning stops after school. Once they enter the workforce, they stop improving themselves. Their skills remain the same, and over time, their income potential remains the same as well. Meanwhile, quiet wealth builders keep upgrading themselves. Little by little, year after year, the gap slowly becomes larger. Knowledge also protects you from financial traps. Many people earn money during good economic periods, but they lose it just as quickly because they never learned how to manage it. They follow trends blindly. They invest based on emotion. They chase opportunities that sound exciting but lack real foundations. Knowledge helps you avoid those mistakes. It helps you think clearly when others are reacting emotionally. Another powerful effect of knowledge is the ability to see opportunities that others miss. Two people can face the exact same situation, but the person with more knowledge often sees possibilities the other person cannot recognize. And once you begin seeing opportunities differently, your relationship with money changes completely. Money becomes a result of the value you create, not something you constantly chase. In many ways, knowledge itself behaves like compound interest. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every lesson you learn from experience adds to your long-term capacity. At first, the progress feels slow, but eventually the accumulation becomes powerful. You begin making better decisions. You solve problems faster. You recognize opportunities earlier, and your ability to generate income improves dramatically. Quiet wealth builders rarely talk about this process. They do not publicly announce every course they take or every book they read. They simply learn quietly, apply what they learn, and allow the results to speak for themselves. Now, if we step back and look at the entire journey we've discussed, a clear pattern appears. None of these habits are flashy. None of them promise instant wealth. Most of them are quiet, slow, sometimes even boring. But over time, they become incredibly powerful. Living below your means, paying yourself first, investing consistently, building multiple income streams, reinvesting profits, protecting your financial privacy, and continuously improving your knowledge and skills. Together, these habits form a financial system, a system that allows money and time to work quietly on your behalf. But here's the difficult truth. Most people will hear ideas like this and feel inspired for a moment. They will think about changing their habits, maybe even start for a few days. But inspiration fades quickly. Because inspiration is easy, discipline is difficult, and wealth has never been a reward for inspiration. It is a reward for discipline sustained over many years. So before this video ends, pause for a moment and ask yourself one question. If your life looks exactly the same 10 years from now as it does today, would you be satisfied? If the answer is yes, that is perfectly fine. A simple and stable life is a valid choice. But if the answer is no, then you have reached an important turning point, because now you know something many people ignore. You now understand that wealth is not a miracle, it is a system, and systems work only when people follow them consistently. You don't need to change everything overnight. You don't need 5 income streams next month. You don't need a huge investment portfolio immediately. You only need to begin one small step consciously. Track your spending this month. Set aside a small portion of your next paycheck. Start learning one skill that could increase your future income. Small steps may feel insignificant, but over 5 years, 10 years, they create enormous change. There is never a perfect moment to begin. You will always feel busy. You may never feel fully ready. But waiting for perfect conditions is how many people delay progress for decades. Quiet wealth builders don't wait for perfect motivation. They take action first. Motivation often follows progress. Financial freedom is not about showing the world how much money you have. It is about having the ability to choose. Choosing the work you want to do. Choosing the time you spend with family. Choosing rest when you need it. And that freedom rarely appears suddenly. It grows slowly through disciplined decisions. If something in this message made you think differently today, then this video has already served its purpose. And if you want to continue learning strategies and ideas like these, make sure to subscribe to Mentivora Pulse so you don't miss future conversations. Because sometimes the smallest decision today can quietly shape a very different future. And 10 years from now, the person who thanks you for starting will be your future self.